Well, I hope all of you had a wonderful Christmas season, and I hope it was truly a celebration of the birth of Jesus Christ. All of us know that Jesus was not necessarily born on December the 25th. No one knows the exact date, but nonetheless, it is wonderful to walk in places of business and hear them play the carols, Hark the Herald Angels Sing, Joy to the World. Yes, I know a lot of places you go, they don't play those songs anymore, but a lot of places they do. And I went into many business places over the holidays where they were, in fact, playing those songs. It was very gratifying to realize that in this day when people would like to stamp out all knowledge of Jesus Christ, they have not yet been able to do it. So I was very, very thankful about that. It seemed like this Christmas season was special to me because it seemed like every part of the Christmas story, I like to call it the greatest story ever told, was so real to me. How that Almighty God put himself within a human body so that he could come and die in our place so that we don't have to die. There's a lot to that whole sermon to understand the theology behind that. Nonetheless, to think that he would leave the splendors of glory, come down, pay the ultimate price, all that he could pay, he gave, and he died in our place. And then he told us how we can have that death appropriated to our lives and we can pass from death to life. I'll just give you one big hint before we plunge into what we really want to talk about today. But the big hint is Romans 6:3. As many as have been baptized into Christ have been baptized into his death. If you do not have a good understanding of how that all worked, I would invite you to pick up the phone and call us right now and ask for our What Do You Mean Born Again brochure. Or if you'd prefer to download it, it's on our website. Simply go to endtime.com, and there in the middle of the page, you'll see the question, what do you mean born again? Click on it, and there's the article for you to read. If you don't have a good understanding, then you don't know what Christmas is all about, but we certainly would invite you to do that. The article that really, really, really caught my attention today, that we've got to spend some time talking about, this comes from Deb Kafile on December the 24th. Turkey resumes NATO ties with Israel, a Netanyahu breakthrough. Now, for those of you that haven't followed it closely, Turkey and Israel had a major rupture in their relations 2 years ago. What happened was Israel and Turkey had been the two closest nations as far as between Israel and a Muslim nation. Of course, Turkey's about 98% Muslim, but yet they had good relations. They had held joint military ventures together. Turkey had sold water to Israel. And so the relation between Israel and Turkey was quite remarkable. However, when the ship sailed in to try to break the blockade of Gaza 2 years ago, and Israel boarded that ship, violence broke out, and I think it was 8 or 9 people were killed, among them several Turkish people. Turkey broke relations off with Israel, saying that until they received the proper apology, that they would not resume those relations. So it's been a very cold relationship from that time until now. But the big problem was, up until this particular time, Israel, Turkey, and the U.S. would hold these joint military maneuvers. Well, Turkey refused to participate with Israel anymore, and that's been ongoing. However, with the heating up of the situation in Syria, Turkey now very much wanted NATO action in Turkey. Turkey wanted the Patriot missiles to be installed along the border with Syria. Well, that's where we pick it up today, because this article is entitled, Turkey Resumes NATO Ties with Israel, Netanyahu Breakthrough. Here's what happened. Turkey dropped its ban on cooperating with Israel as a third nation NATO partner at the 28-member alliance meeting in Brussels on December the 4th in response to a reprimand from Secretary General Anders Fogh Rasmussen that the ban had created a lack of confidence among the partners. The same meeting approved the deployment of patriots on the Turkish border with Syria. So two things happened that day. Turkey dropped her objection to Israel's participation. Israel's had a partner relationship with NATO for some time now. Turkey is a full member in NATO. So this was disturbing the relationship of Israel as a partner with NATO because Turkey was vetoing everything that Israel had anything to do with. Well, finally, the Secretary General, Mr. Rasmussen, Secretary General of NATO, sharply rebuked Turkey and said that this was causing a lack of confidence among partners. And the same meeting that Turkey said, okay, we're going to drop that now. The Patriot missiles were approved for the Turkish border with Syria. So apparently the Obama administration took advantage of this situation to say, you want us to play ball with you? We need to drop this petty squabble you've got over these people that tried to run the blockade. They knew there was a blockade on Gaza. They knew why, because Israel did not want to have rockets, explosives being shipped into Gaza that would end up being used against Israel. So consequently, Israel blockaded everything and said it only goes through if we get to examine it first and we get to approve it first. Well, that's when they boarded the ship, and that's when the calamity that happened broke out. Well, now then, it's apparently been put back to normal, but that's the little part of the story, because here is the bigger part of the story. Now, Turkey's consent to effectively revive its strategic cooperation with Israel represents a major breakthrough for Benjamin Netanyahu just before the election in Israel, which will happen less than 30 days from now on January the 22nd. As he runs for re-election on January 22nd, he is constantly accused by opposition leaders of bringing Israel into deep international isolation. And this is because of the situation with Turkey, number one, and also the opposition to the unilateral declaration of statehood at the United Nations by the Palestinians, number two. So Turkey and NATO have undercut that charge now, which Mr. Netanyahu is very glad to have happen. President Barack Obama has striven hard to restore Turkish ties with Israel, and not only on Israel's behalf, but as a prop for his burgeoning Sunni Muslim Middle East bloc, headed by Egypt, and a step on the path toward resuscitating the Israeli-Palestinian peace process. The two scenarios are part of a, now listen to this carefully, 4-point understanding, which President Obama and Netanyahu quietly concluded last fall when the U.S. president was campaigning for re-election. Okay, now this is a 4-point plan, which according to Debka File, and it makes sense to me because everything else I know, everything fits here. So this 4-point plan was concluded between Netanyahu and President Obama, but we've not known about it until now. Now, I follow these things pretty closely, as all of you know, and yet I had never heard of this particular plan, but it's huge in its ramifications. Okay, here's the plan. Number one, the Israeli prime minister promised last fall not to rock the boat of Obama's re-election campaign by a unilateral attack on Iran's nuclear program until his inauguration for a second term on January the 21st of 2013, which of course is still coming up and is also one day before the Israeli elections on January the 22nd. So Netanyahu also agreed to let the direct U.S.-Iranian negotiating track launched in Switzerland on December the 1st take its course for 3 months up to March 1. So Netanyahu agreed, all right, you've got these secret negotiations going on with Iran, so I'll hold off until then to see how all these things take the course. Okay, now that's the first item. Item number two. President Obama counterpledged that if at the end of those 3 months, Iran's ruler, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, had not delivered on the 7 stipulations for curtailing Iran's nuclear program, which administration officials put before Iranian representatives in those secret talks, the military option would move to the top of America's agenda for Iran. So this is quite a deal that's going on here. We're going to let this go up to March the 1st, and if Iran had not delivered on the 7 stipulations that they have negotiated, and it does not say what those 7 stipulations are, that then military option would move to the top of America's agenda. Now, this was not saying that America would go to war immediately. However, if Iran approached breakout capacity in 2013, as it's predicted that she will, the U.S. would find it hard to avoid a preemptive operation, according to the sources that Debkafile had. And the direct U.S.-Iran negotiations launched on December 1 were quickly deadlocked. Okay, now, number 3, Obama's going to reward Netanyahu for this agreement. This is item number 3. During Netanyahu's critical 3-month election campaign, Obama promised him a reprieve from outside pressures on the understanding that Israel and the Palestinians would get together in March to resume peace negotiations under joint U.S. Muslim sponsorship. Now, you hear that? Listen to what they're saying here. I got to go over this again. This is big stuff. Obama rewards Netanyahu that during Netanyahu's critical 3-month election campaign, which will be over in less than 30 days now, Obama promised him a reprieve from outside pressures on the understanding that Israel and the Palestinians would get together in March to resume peace negotiations under joint U.S. Muslim sponsorship. Now, you know there's a deal that was struck between the U.S. and Egypt on the Hamas thing. It appears to me that all of this is interconnected, that this is a thing that's been going on behind the scenes. So we can expect, apparently, a resumption of the peace negotiations come March. Big stuff. Now, I haven't told you number 4 yet, but we'll be telling you about that as soon as we get back. You're listening to Politics, Religion, and we're talking about this secret agreement just now coming to light, 4-point plan.